Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream. How on earth are you all doing? It feels weird having a week off. I can't remember the last time I missed a Monday night live stream, and it feels weird not doing it. It feels like I've been away forever. So yes, welcome back to another Monday night live stream, everybody. I hope you're all well. I hope you've all had a fantastic couple of weeks since I last spoke to you all. What have you been up to? I'm sure some of you have been away on holiday, some of you have been to tournaments, some of you have been furiously painting more of your Warcry stuff, amongst many other games. Steve Evans has been knocking out more of his Kings of War army. I saw you'd been at the Wait to Fire, the WoFCon event at the weekend as well. And we've got a whole host of people in the chat as well, so let's have a look and see who we've got. And I might miss a few names here, folks. These chats are starting to get a bit busy now, so I apologise if I miss anybody. But we had some early birds in. Chris Warden was in. Good evening, mate, or good afternoon, I think it is for you. Paul Palm's in as well. Hello, mate. How are you doing? And we also had Black Cleric was in. He said looking forward to this one. Just started to paint his first Warcry warband, and this new book holds a bit of potential early bloat. We'll get onto that. Peter Nicholas is in as well. Said he felt like he was late. He was still 20 minutes early. Al Krabby's in. Who else we got? We've got loads of chat. I'm trying to go through all the names. We've got Joanna Q in as well. I think you might have watched this before, but the first time I think you've commented in the chat. So good evening to you, Joanna. We've got Christian Reeves in as well. Hello, buddy. How are you doing? Steve Evans, I've just mentioned. Hello, Steve. Brad Jimenez is in as well. Good evening, Brad. Aggression's in, early arrival all the way from Teesside. He says Warcry release schedule is mad. We'll get on to that. We've got VJ in. Good morning, VJ. Noxie in is in as well. He says he'll hang out as long as he can. We've also got, my chat starting to jump off the screen already there. We've got, where are we at? Shaggy Wargaming, hello Jack, how are you doing, mate? We've got Tim Cafferty in as well. We've got Vicurencio, hope I've pronounced that all right. Apologies if I haven't. Al Cluley's in as well. Good evening, mate. Henrik's in. Good evening, Henrik. Where else we got? We've got Juan Lozana Contreras. Good evening to you. Says, I'm working late. The first time I've caught one of your live streams. Thank you very much for tuning in. Different Gear TV's in as well. Hello, buddy. How are you? Where are we at as well? Morris is in. Says Nova Open. Got a bunch of teaching games in. Nice one, mate. I saw a lot of Nova looked fantastic. I'd love to try and get there one day, I think. We've got Paul M in. We've got Gadaddy Gamer from Santa Cruz. We've got Zingbo in. He's just opened his first 3D printer. We've got Jared Winnie. Says he wants his monsters. Julian Ankers is in as well. He's from Cumbria. Just finished painting the scenery. And he said he posted a video last night with the flicking lights. I saw that. Excuse me. Siri on my phone just suddenly burst to life there while I was talking. We've got Franz in as well. Says can't wait for the new stuff. Henry's in as well. He said he's barbecuing while he's listening. That's the way to do it, buddy. Ian's in as well from Sydney. Good morning for you. Yeah, morning. Yeah, good morning, mate. Ian, we got Vicurencu. That was close as I can get. He said it was almost correct. We got Trevor Chadwick in as well. He says, "What's up, Andy? What everyone think about this sounding like campaign for monsters?" Matthew Hall's in here as well. He says, "First time in the live stream." Pete Smith and Billy Mark. Hello, Billy, and hello, Pete. So tonight's chat, we've got a couple of things to talk about tonight. One is, you might remember if you viewed 2 weeks ago's live stream, we were giving away one of the coveted BlackJack Legacy mugs. So I mentioned this before. You can't win these. You can only, I'll rephrase that. You can't buy these. You can only win them in giveaways and competitions, or maybe by challenging me to a game at events, as Steve Evans has done. Or you can have them as a gift if I choose to send them out for whatever reason. If you've come to the one I've given out recently was to Paul Welch, who travelled all the way from Manchester to be at Newcastle and came and played a game with me. So he got one of these as well. So yeah, you can have them as a gift, or you can win them. That's the only way you can get these. So we're giving one away tonight. So hopefully you entered it. And if you didn't enter it, you obviously didn't watch the last live stream, so you won't know about it. So I'll do that at some point tonight. However, the main point of the chat tonight is about Warcry, as it has been quite a bit recently, Warcry and the announcement of the Monsters and Mercenaries expansion. And more about, I mean, it's only 5 weeks ago that the core set was available to pick up. And here we are this weekend, another terrain set, Monsters and Mercenaries coming out, and some other bits and pieces of releases and stuff, and I'll come on to them as well. And the question, I guess, is it too much too fast? So I asked this question in Facebook groups today, and I had loads and loads of feedback. I've asked it on Twitter tonight. I've got loads more feedback there as well. So I'm going to mix in a very kind of generalized summary, I think, of some of the feelings of the Warcry community and some feelings of people who maybe don't play Warcry but have an opinion on it. And then I'll tell you what I think about it as well. So I'd love to know in the chat as well what you think about it. I'm sure some people probably might be hearing about it for the first time. Some people might not know much about it. There was a bit more information about it released just tonight before I came on live as well. So that's good that we've got the latest information, and I'll flick that up on the screen soon so we can share that together if you've not seen it. But yeah, let me know in the chat. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm just kind of skimming as well to see who else we've got in. Let me know what your thoughts are. Again, because the chats are getting busy these days, if you want to tell me directly, if you type at BlackJack Legacy before you put your comment in, it'll flash up on the screen. And if we've got some new viewers here and you've not been to the channel before, thank you very much for tuning in. And whether you're here live now or whether you're watching it back on the repeat later on, it would be awesome to have you as a subscriber too. So if you do like what you see, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out. So let's have a quick look and see what a few people are saying. VJ saying his Warcry rules cards arrived last week from the splitter, so I can finally get playing. And Rafael says, "Hi there, no need to spell my name. I'm not even going to try it, mate." Henrik saying, "I still don't like any GW games. Must be me." I guess some of it is probably to do with your local player base, mate. And I guess that if you have a group of people who play other things and you're not really into GW stuff, that's kind of understandable. And maybe the games are just not for you. To be honest, I've kind of not always got on with GW games. Warcry has been very different for me personally. But there's a lot of GW games that I don't really enjoy or I don't really play. Blood Bowl especially, I just can't get my head around it. It doesn't excite me, and I know that's probably sacrilege for a lot of people. Where are we at? Craig saying, even at all, how's it going as well? In case of emergency, Victor from Eindhoven. I'll remember Vic now, mate. I'll pick that bit up. And where we at? Marco's in as well. He says he's in Dusseldorf. He's away on business, doing his best to catch up. Thank you, buddy. The commitment is appreciated. Pete says he can't win a mug. G Daddy Gamer saying he's painting his Untamed Beasts. Skull Munchers in as well. Good evening, Sean. How are you, mate? VJ said he's been playing a lot of deck box dungeons this weekend. We've got James Sullivan's in as well. It says good evening from Garland in Texas. Good evening to you, James. Hope you're well, mate. Ian's on his on the bus heading into work. Paul said if you didn't enter, you obviously don't use mugs. Right, Peter says the Warcry's expansion is too early. Oh, I just jumped to the top of the screen again. Too early. Where the hell did that go? Too early for me. I just got a rule boot and the Nagash cards last week. Paul saying that he thinks it's very quick. So let's split it down into two parts of the conversation then. One is it too fast? The general consensus from the community at large, if you like, from kind of what I've surveyed really by asking a few questions online, is that I think people, whether they are really excited for this expansion or whether they don't want to buy it at all or whether they don't know much about it at the minute and they're waiting to find out more, I think the general consensus is it is quite quick. And it's only just been about a month since the core box, the starter box released. So that is pretty fast to be releasing expansions. There's a kind of a feeling that some of the people that are more kind of annoyed about it wish that they'd released the two other warbands that are in the starter box, in the book rather, in the rule book, which was the Flames of Sion and the other ones. My brain's gone now. The other ones as well. The two that we don't know anything about at the minute. People are saying that we should have had those released first. Not sure I agree with that, but I kind of, doesn't mean that our opinion's wrong, but I'm not sure I agree with that one. People are saying that I haven't even sort of picked up the starter box yet, and was already an expansion out. It's going too fast. It's out of control. I can't keep up. And again, if that's what people think about it, that's entirely their opinion as well. But on the flip side of it, there are a lot of people that are saying I can't wait. One comment was that basically it's been waiting for an expansion to come quickly. The starter sort of rules, if you like, were a bit light, and they've wanted something more to get their teeth into. Some people are just, I think some people are probably more along my line of thinking, are seeing that it is fast, however, it is optional. And I think that's kind of the point of some of what I'll get to. So, purely from a speed point of view, it is quite fast. However, from a cost point of view, the book itself is going to cost £15 in the UK. I'm not sure what that'll be over in the US or in Australia or New Zealand or anywhere else in Europe. But if you find something on the GW store for £15 and then look at it on your store, you'll see how much it'll be. You think the core rule book, I think, is £25. Is that about $40, $50, something like that? Maybe $40. So maybe we're in the realms of about $30 to $35. Maybe $30, let's say. So it's not going to be too expensive. Now that might mean that it's not particularly very thick. I don't know that yet. Don't know how many pages is in the book. But at least it's not like a £50-60 kind of hardback sort of expensive book that actually is a bit out of reach at this time. So I guess one thing we have to kind of look at is, so what actually is it? So let's start with that first. So if we come across, let me make sure. First, let's get to that one. So what is it? So there was some more information released this evening, and I'm going to try and struggle and read it from that far away now. I should have brought it up on my screen. It says, "Love Warcry. Wish your battles in the 8 points were even more awesome. Well, good news. However you play, Monsters and Mercenaries is for you." Now that's quite interesting, that however you play comment, because one thing that I thought was this was going to be very much a narrative campaign expansion, and if you play matched player, then it might be an optional pass. You might not want to use it. However, there is some stuff for matched player that's in this book. We'll come on to that. It goes on to say this new expansion has a little bit of something for every kind of gamer. So it just goes a bit further. Did we say a little bit? Well, actually, we mean a lot. We'll dive right in. So this is the monsters part of the expansion, and it's essentially saying that it's actually the actual bona fide monsters in the book. So in this expansion, you'll find rules for monsters from every Grand Alliance, namely, it says the Chaos Gargants, which I think is like the old giants. We've got Cygors, we've got Skittersand, Aknorat. I'm trying to read it from a distance. They're basically the big spiders. There's War Hydras. There's another version of the War Hydra, I think it is. I can't read the name from here. There's Terrorgeists and Zombie Dragons as well. So basically, any of those sort of large base models, large base monsters, are going to be included in the Monsters expansion. Now, I had a quick look tonight, and the Terrorgeist, for example, is on 120mm base. Now, that's huge when you're starting to kind of take into account the size of the board and trying to sneak in around bits of terrain and stuff. So no doubt there'll be something in the book that maybe kind of hints at a different terrain layout, because I can't imagine us being able to try and, unless because there's not going to be a lot of places for it to land. It's going to be too big for platforms. Yes, it'll probably be able to fly, but it'll be able to move over terrain, but not actually sort of land anywhere. It's going to be interesting how they handle that one anyway. It says, right now you're probably thinking something along the lines of, "Core blimey, I bet the Gorgon goes through iron golems like they're delicious tins of mystery meat. How do I get one?" Well, it's simple. You just have to beat it in battle first. So this is where it kind of gets a bit more into the detail. So it says, no Warcry warband is influential enough to start a campaign with a monster. So this is the bit where it tells us that monsters are going to be part of campaigns. You have to work hard to add one to your roster. Monsters and Mercenaries features a number of special challenge battles where you pit your warband against terrifying odds in search of glory. So basically what you can do is, there are some sort of missions that you would play instead of your standard kind of campaign missions, where you can try and attack a monster. If you beat it, you can try and take it on as part of your warband and try and control it. If you lose, not only do you not get the monster, it can do you some damage as well. So you've really got to choose carefully whether you want to go up against these monsters. One thing it seems to suggest is that your opponent will play the part of the monster. So it's not some kind of AI control thing, which a lot of people were hoping that it would be, so that you'd be able to maybe try and play it as a solo mission. So I think that's quite it's a good point. Then there's the allies part. Now it says the mercenaries of Monsters and Mercenaries are allies, a new type of fighter that gives you even more choice when customizing your warband, and loads of converting and painting opportunities. Drawing from factions across the mortal realms, allies allows you to add spellcasters, deadly champions, and agents of the Grand Alliance to your roster. Now, when it says the agents of the Grand Alliances, this makes me wonder whether you have to take one, sort of, if you're a death army, if you have to take one of them from the death Grand Alliance, or whether you can just take any one of these mercenaries. I think thematically it fits that you'd pick them from within your alliance, but actually just to kind of, for a bit of fun, I'd quite like to be able to see where you can just take anyone. They're mercenaries after all, so they should fight for anybody. It says you get one ally only for each matched or open player. Now that's the bit where it brings into it in match play. So the allies, the allies who are the mercenaries, will be available within match play games. That's a bit that seems to have a few people ruffled now, because that wasn't clarified until today. This is those who embarked on narrative campaigns can have an ally for each dominated territory they possess. So you can have more if you're playing through a narrative campaign. It says, so let's say you're playing the Unmade and you're looking for some ranged support. How about Warp Lightning Slinging Greyseer? With 50 allies to choose from, the Great Bray Shamans, every member of the, I can't even see that, something, Gobsapalooza, you'll be spoiled for choice. So, all warbands will be able to take one of these allies, and there's going to be 50. Now, one of the things that's not really clear is how are they going to be sold, because those 50 mercenaries, or 50 allies, are models, as far as we know, they're models that's already available. So things like the Greyseer, things like the Bray, what was it called again? The Great Bray Shaman. These are existing models. So I can't imagine they're going to repackage them with cards inside for Warcry. They could, but probably not the wisest of choices. They've not mentioned anything about sort of card packs like they did with the Battlefield packs. There's not been a mention of a pack of sort of 50 ally cards that you can buy. The assumption would be that they would have done this on the pre-release weekend, which is this weekend, and they haven't mentioned that as part of the pre-orders. So I'm kind of thinking it's one of two things. They're either going to be in the book, which is quite interesting, or they're going to be like kind of digital war scrolls. They're going to be available online. Now, personally, I'd quite like to have had the card for them, just to kind of have them alongside the rest of my warband. I'm assuming you'll have to choose whether they come in as part of your kind of your shield, dagger, or your hammer as well. So it'd be quite nice to kind of to do it that way. But let's see. We don't know, so let's not jump to conclusions. But my gut feeling is we'll probably, when we see them in the book, I think we might see them in the book. I'm trying to think because it's matched play now. When it was just narrative and campaigns I had in my mind, I thought that probably didn't really matter about adjusting the point cost too much. It doesn't really matter if they're a bit overpowered or underpowered or whatever, because it's more kind of campaign, narrative fun type things. Now it's matched play. It makes me lean more towards, I think they might be kind of war scrolls online, and that way if they do decide to make any changes, they can do it on the fly rather than having to sort of errata a book or something like that. Then in the book as well, it says that there's fated quests, and it says that the ampersand between monsters and mercenaries denotes, does it say fated quests? Special campaign quests. Why did you come in there? Excuse me. Fated campaign quests that offer the very greatest rewards to your warbands in the form of exalted command traits. Mighty This is too far away. Mighty qualities to transform your leaders into living legends and truly incredible artifacts of power. So there are a few things. There's an exalted campaign trait here, and it says that basically if the fighter is in your warband, you automatically pass bestial intellect rolls when you activate a chaotic beast within 12 inches of the fighter. And then there's an artifact of power, which is called the Champion's Mantle, and this gives your warband, you begin the battle with 2 additional wild dice, which is obviously quite strong as well. And it says, fated quests are cracking challenges for warbands that have already mastered a previous campaign quest and now seek even greater heights of glory. So what's interesting is, I'll flick back to the main screen now. What's quite interesting is there is a lot here from a narrative perspective. There's a lot of stuff around new campaigns. There's a lot of stuff about these quests. There's all the monsters to come in as well. There's the ability to bring monsters into your campaign games. It's going to be quite interesting to see how all that works. Now that on the surface, I am really excited about, actually, I'll be honest. The book's going to be £15. I don't think that's a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. There's a lot of extra stuff in there. If you're really wanting a meaty campaign, and that's what you think, maybe you were looking for something like more time originally when you got into Warcry. Maybe that was what you were wanting, and you thought that this was a little bit light. This is probably going to give you that little kind of shot in the arm to really beef out some of the campaign. So that alone, I'm actually quite excited about. I haven't played any campaign stuff yet. I've not got round to playing campaign stuff. I've been having fun with kind of match play one-off games. But when I do, it sounds like it's going to be fun. I'm sure there'll be a lot of kind of background story in this book as well. One of the reasons about why all the monsters are there and kind of why the allies are there and stuff as well. So I'm quite looking forward to it, even just from a little bit of background stuff. The mercenary ones, I'm a little more unsure about now I know that they're in matched play. Matched play, by its name, has to be balanced, and it has to be it has to try and retain its balance. I assume that mercenaries are going to either do one of two things. They'll either be very expensive and will therefore they'll balance themselves out through their point cost, or they'll bring new rules that if you're playing with mercenaries, maybe that 1,000 points goes up to 1,200 points now, or something like that. I think the suggestion was if you need kind of some ranged some ranged firepower in your warband and you've got a very close combat army, you can bring somebody in. And I like that idea. I like that idea of bringing in bringing in a mercenary that can add something to a weakness of your warband. Maybe it'll bring something into the rules. So when we deploy at the start of the game, maybe you don't have to select your mercenary until you know what the battlefield is, or until you know exactly what what the terrain layout is, what the wind condition is, who you're playing against. Maybe that way you can have a selection of mercenaries to choose from, and you choose one. Maybe that would be something that people sort of pull in for their own kind of homebrew tournaments or something like that. That could be quite exciting. I need to know a bit more about mercenaries, but on the face of it, I'm actually quite excited by the opportunity of bringing in lots of different things to boost and to bolster warbands that maybe are quite one-dimensional. It's a very easy way to list build if you're just buying sort of a core set of your 8 or 9 models. Say you buy the Corvus Cabal set, you've got that standard warband, you can then do a little bit of list building just by bringing in the odd kind of mercenary to different kinds of games. So I'm actually on the kind of on the sort of, on the face of it all, I am actually quite excited by this. Now, a lot of comparisons have been made to how Warcry is releasing, very much along the lines of how Kill Team is releasing. And I get that, but that's kind of how GW do stuff. And I was quite critical of the way Kill Team was released, and it's only fair that I'm equally as critical about Warcry. I think the biggest difference is that when I got into Kill Team, I wasn't expecting that speed of releases, and I didn't have stuff painted so fast. I wasn't playing a lot of games at the time, and I felt like the game was kind of moving quite quickly. And they didn't at the time. They are now. I've kind of looked back on them, but they didn't feel like optional expansions. They felt like, well, this is part of the game now. I need to have this. The difference with Warcry for me is probably 2 or 3-fold. The first one is I'm really, really, really enjoying the game. I'm loving everything about it. So I've got a much more kind of positive spin on it at the minute anyway. So I should probably sort of caveat it with that. The second thing is I went into Warcry with my eyes open. I was a bit more aware of what I assumed the release schedule would be like. I knew things would be fast. They've still been faster than I've expected. I didn't expect to get like another 3 warbands the week after, or 2 weeks after the original release. I didn't expect to be almost getting something every 2 or 3 weeks for this. So that's kind of caught me out a little bit. However, because I've absolutely fell in love with the game, and I've got my mojo back for painting and stuff, I've essentially got a couple of warbands to paint in the next week, and by the time the new waves come out, I'll have painted everything. So with me personally, I'm ahead of the game a little bit, really. And I can't say that's the same for everybody. I know a lot of people are kind of saying I've literally just picked up my rule book and I haven't even had my first game yet, and already the rules are changing. People are saying that their local stores they haven't started the campaign yet, or they've only just started the campaign yet, and now something else is coming along and it's kind of changing the rules up. So I do get where people are coming from, and I do think it is too fast. However, can't do anything about that. I have to just decide whether I'm on board or I'm not. And from what I've seen, from what I've read, I'll be buying the book. I'm not sure if I'm going to dive in and buy any monsters yet, because I'm not playing any campaign stuff yet. But I'll get the book, because that might make me want to play more campaign stuff. Or I might just want to get a monster to paint up, because I'll have finished all of my warbands and stuff at that point. So I am actually really excited about this. And I think the biggest things are the fact is that I knew when I came into this, I came in with my eyes open. And I think the other thing I didn't mention is I do know that this really is optional. I know people are saying, there's some match play stuff in there as well, or there's campaign stuff in there. And if you're playing match play games, or you're playing tournaments, if you're a tournament player in any game system, not just Games Workshop stuff, any game system, you have to keep up to speed with the latest rules. That's just how it is. If you're a 40k player, if you're a War Machine player, if you play Vanguard, if you play Kings of War, whatever it is, you need to keep up to speed. It's part of being a tournament player. That's just how it is. And I don't think £15 for the rule book is that expensive. We've established it's too fast. I do agree with that, but I don't think that's a lot in the grand scheme of things. If you just play with your buddies at your local store, if you just play at home, if you play kind of like at a local club or something, you can still pick and choose whether you want to have this or not. It is still optional. And I've been critical in the past about things are moving too fast, they release things too quickly. But I think the more I get kind of my head around this stuff, the more I understand more about what they release, the more I think I realise actually everything kind of is just optional. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't always, you don't have to buy every single thing that comes out. There's a lot of people complaining, saying that, well, I've only just pre-ordered Aeronautica Imperialis at the weekend. I've only just ordered that. So I've just spent all that money and now this is coming out. Those are 2 completely different games. You don't have to order everything that comes out. That is a personal choice. I'm sure there's loads of other games that have just come out. We've got Marvel Miniatures Protocol coming out. but nobody is complaining, well, I've just bought the Marvel game last weekend and now I've got to buy all my Warcry stuff. It's just this, it seems to be a mentality with Games Workshop stuff that people feel the need to kind of, to always buy everything that comes out. And that's something that I've definitely stopped myself from doing over the last 12 months. I don't feel the need to kind of buy all of the latest stuff anymore. I buy the stuff that interests me now. So for example, when Blackstone Fortress came out, I never bought it. It didn't really interest me. I didn't buy Speed Freaks when Speed Freaks came out. It didn't really interest me at the time. There was a time I'd have got caught up in that hype and I'd have bought it. The same way I bought, what was it called again? I'm just looking on my shelf now. Shadow War Armageddon. I don't even think I ever played it. I probably bought it and used the terrain, but I don't think I ever really played the game because I got caught up with the hype. I got caught up when I bought it. And now I don't do that. I just buy the stuff I really want. So anyway, I've rambled for quite a bit there. I'm going to flick through and pick out some of these comments where people have been of highlighting stuff and see if I've got any new names as well in there as well that I've not seen yet. Where are we at? Mark was saying, I wish there were some AI cards for the monsters. Adding a solo element to this game would be amazing. I know I've seen some stuff online. There's a few people doing a little bit of homebrew stuff with that. I don't think we'll be far away from seeing kind of fan-made stuff for that, mate. Tom D's in, saying hi to all. Tim Kelly's in as well, saying hi, Andy. Hope you're all grand. Nice to see you too. Glenn Griffin's in as well. Where else are we at? Jared Winnie's in, says, we was thinking of conversion on the Chimera. The Hydra, Snapping Turtle for me. I said I wanted monsters. It's funny actually because I just took the delivery of the second wave of all my Joan of Arc stuff. And some of the monsters that are in there are unbelievable. They're absolutely huge. And I was just sitting tonight thinking, I wonder if I could just use the rules from whatever the rules are for the GW monsters. I could use some of these Joan of Arc ones. I'll have to get some pictures of them and just to see what they like scale-wise with everything else. Brandon Rutter's in as well. He says, I'm assuming it's Alliance aligned, but how are the stat card equivalents done just in the book? Yeah, I mentioned that, but I'm not really sure. I think it only really dawned on me there when I read that it might be kind of the Chaos monsters or for the Chaos factions. I think the only worry with that is that Chaos kind of have a lot more. I'm trying to even think just what they're. I mean, did that mean that is there only one destruction model there? Was that the arachnid thing? Is that the only destruction model in that list? So does that mean kind of that's what Iron Jaws basically get to choose from? I can't remember. Oh no, they don't choose that. It's excuse me. Ignore the monsters stuff. It's the 50 allies, isn't it? That's what they get to choose from. In cards, yeah, I'm not really sure how that's going to kind of pan out, that one. Ian saying downloadable Merc cards will be good. Yeah, I agree with that one as well, mate. Top Table Gaming's in as well. Says he's here, let's get the party started. 50 new allies. Nice to see you, buddy. How you doing? I'm pretty sure that's Jay there. Oh, excuse me, let me get a drink at my throat. Just pop it right out. Yeah, GB Gamer's in as well. Hello, mate. And then he's talking about a solo campaign too. Jay's just said he grabbed the skull grinder because he saw one in the article as well. BJ saying the Gracie, it looks like it bodes well for Skaven. I thought that as well, mate. I'd like to see Skaven in there as well. Is there a Skaven beast as well? Did I remember seeing that? I imagined that. Peter Nicholas is saying, please, no more holidays. I woke up Tuesday morning with panic attack. Sorry, mate. Have I got any more? I don't think I've got any more Mondays planned for a little while, mate. I do have to go away with work in October, but I don't think I fly till a Tuesday morning. So you might be okay with that one. Voltamans is in as well. Hello there, buddy. How you doing? I've also seen Randall there as well. Nick Yellen's in as well. Good evening, buddy. Voltaman says, I bet plenty of the people complaining about the frequency of purchase spend £3, £4, £5 every day on a Starbucks. I'm not complaining, but I do spend way too much on the Starbucks. What's £15 these days in the mini hobby? Oh, yeah, don't get me wrong, we can't be too dismissive. £15 is still £15, and that might be a lot of money to some people. I almost have to try and kind of distance myself from the prices a little bit, because not everybody has access to the same funds, if you like, and it's quite dismissive, I suppose, of me to say it's not a lot of money. And I know I said that. However, in the grand scheme of things, within the miniature hobby, if £15 is a lot of money, the miniature hobby is very, very expensive for you. So, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be part of it. I just think that within the cost of everything that we spend on miniature gaming, £15 isn't too bad. VG is saying there, people who buy everything must either be nuts or have far too much money, time on their hands. I think there's a lot of people who still do though, mate. I think there's a lot of people do pretty much buy everything that GW come out. And I think some of that is down to GW's marketing is absolutely fantastic these days. They do hook you in. I must admit, I looked at Aeronautica Imperialis as well and kind of thought, is it something I might be interested in? Even though I know I'm probably going to play it like twice or something, I just I backed away from it. Even when I saw the price, it was less than I expected, and I thought, by the time I get discount online, all that kind of stuff, is it something I want to buy? But nah, I need to kind of to focus down a little bit. I'm enjoying Warcry. I'd rather spend my money on Warcry stuff at the minute. Christopher says, if AI released before Warcry, I wouldn't have bought any Warcry product. Interesting, mate. Was Aeronautica something that you played before when it was released? I didn't even realise until recently that it was a kind of a remake of an older product. And I know it's changed slightly rules-wise and stuff, but I didn't even realise it was kind of like a re-release. Peter says £3 for coffee. Yeah, try more like £4.50 or something like that. Let's have a look. Yeah, Morris is saying the Joan monsters. Yeah, they're absolutely fantastic. Imagine that huge big Joan of Arc dragon in this game. It's going to take up the full size of the board. But it would look cool, wouldn't it? Tony Howell. Hello, Tony. I don't think I've said hello to you. We just briefly chatted on Facebook earlier today. We're going to try and make your first live stream, so welcome, mate. Where we at? We just jumped off the top of my screen again. Where? 20. There he is. Only thing that strikes me odd is that we have 2 unreleased Chaos Warbands and new expansions coming in. We do, but there's nothing to say they've not been teased. We don't know anything about them yet. They're in the book, but that doesn't mean that. I'm trying to think about it. Really, is it really what we need now? Is it when you think about it? We have 6 Chaos Warbands, and now I haven't really touched on this, but the core box factions of the Iron Golems and the Untamed Beasts are now going to be available as well on pre-order this weekend. So if you didn't pick up the core set, the starter set, you can now access all of the warbands. So we've got 9 AOS factions, and let's not get onto the card availability for the AOS faction ones, but technically we have 9 AOS factions available, and we have 6 Chaos factions available. That's 15 warbands to choose from. Do we really need 2 more at this point in time, or is this the right release? It's just a little bit too fast. I think I'm less inclined. I think I'd have been more surprised if they'd released the 2 new warbands before they'd released the 2 core box ones. Paul's saying, if you've got money to spend on toys, spend it. If you don't. Some people can get quite annoyed about those kind of comments, mate. And I'm kind of conscious of it saying it because I'm in a fortunate position. I have a full-time job that kind of pays me money. I have sort of people like you viewers that are watching now who kind of like support me on Patreon and that kind of things as well. And I save that money up and I kind of put it to one side to buy things for the channel, like cameras and stuff. But sometimes I can put that towards miniatures as well. So I am conscious that I'm in a bit of a privileged position when it comes to stuff like that. So I'm very careful not to kind of be too flippant with those comments. However, let's kind of call a spade as they say. Miniature gaming is expensive, and it just is. You don't get into this expecting not to spend any money kind of thing. You can try and maximize your money where you spend it. You can buy secondhand stuff. You can buy discounted stuff online and all that kind of things. But yeah, it's expensive, isn't it? Jared is saying there, pics of those monsters, please. I will definitely do that, buddy. JK's in as well. I said he's just putting together his Warcry terrain. Your terrain vid was a godsend. You're welcome, buddy. I'm glad that helped. Brian Brad's finishing off his starter set with the Furies. The chat's jumping off the top again now as well. Brandon's saying the Hydra is order right. I'm pretty sure it is, mate. I'm sure it's the Hydra's got the elves. It's an old model. I think it's got elves kind of like sort of whipping it, I think. Michael's in as well from Miniature Paint. Hello, Michael. How are you doing, buddy? He said he was looking at other videos, not my topic. So he looked at Facebook and YouTube, put me in the chat. You are, mate. We've got Jordan in as well. Good evening, Jordan. I don't think we've spoken before, so thank you very much for coming in. Nick Tompkins as well. So I just hope this isn't Commanders, and please don't point creep the game up to 1.5. My worry is with Elite, not with Elite. I'm getting on to that now with Kill Team. With these allies, with these mercs. It's going to be a funny one, isn't it? Are they going to become your new leader? Is that how this is going to work? If they're just, because we're talking about like mega bosses and things like that being included. Spellcasters is going to be interesting because that means we're bringing in more kind of magic and stuff. Are they going to replace your leader, or are they going? So will they have the leader rune mark? Because we haven't. I don't think we've seen a mercenary rune mark, and it says you can only have one in your warband. So maybe they're going to replace with the leader rune mark. But yeah, they're right. They're either just going to be able to be part of your 1,000 points, which if they are, I actually don't mind that in match player, because then you've still got 1,000 points worth of models. You can choose to use that mercenary or not. It gives you just some list building options. If it creeps it up to kind of 12, 13, 14, 1500 points, then I'm not so sure. Where else we have? Morris has seen he saw the AI planes at the weekend, and man, they're beautiful. Didn't realise the size of them. I just saw a picture of them tonight next to another model, and I didn't realise they're as big as they are. Noxie saying there, half the people who buy everything end up eBaying half of it. Yeah, tell me about it, mate. If I'm missing any comments here, I apologise. My chat is jumping around all over. It's going nuts. I think we've got something like 126 people in the chat at the minute. So thank you, every single one of you, for coming in. But yeah, it's quite a lot to get through. We've got Dustin in as well. Says, good day, mate. Lovely morning for it. Good morning, fella. Nice to see you. Clement Quinson's in as well. He says the Gorgon and Saigar look like destruction too. Yeah, I think I was getting mixed up back then, mate. I'm thinking about them being sort of faction specific, but I think that only relates to the allies, the mercenaries. Rob Salter's in it as well. He says, late, but I'm in the house. Nice to see you, fella. VJ says, that huge pile of Jonah Arc stuff was very impressive, Andy. If that landed on my table, I'd get discouraged seeing so much grey plastic. To be honest, mate, and I have to be really honest about this, all of that Joan of Arc stuff was sent to me by Mythic. I didn't pledge for it. I didn't pay for it all. I personally, if I was going to do that, I wouldn't kind of go overboard on a million expansions all at once. Mythic Games very kindly asked me if I'd be interested in getting a copy of Joan of Arc, and I thought they were going to send me a core set. They didn't. They sent me an entire pledge. So I have a lot of stuff there to get through and have a look at. However, those monsters are beautiful. So yeah, there's a lot there. I've played the base game, the kind of the core game of it. It is a good game, and I'll probably do some stuff on the channel soon. Because now everything's here, it's probably a good time to talk about it. And also, there's a Joan of Arc, a second Kickstarter coming up at some point in the future. So again, there'll be some interest around it. It's a good time to talk about it. But yeah, it was when it all arrived, it was just like, what the hell am I going to do with all this? Where are we? Christopher Warden says, my best buddy and I are big fans of the first version. This release got got me really excited. There's a bit of a difference, isn't there? I think I remember reading the first version, you actually measured stuff out to move, and this one's on sort of a hex grid. Is that right? The Mini Junkies in as well. Good evening, buddy. Nice to see you in. If anybody hasn't checked out the Mini Junkies channel, some absolutely amazing painting tutorials on there as well, painting videos. He's got way more subscribers than me, so you probably have already seen his stuff. What a fantastic channel. Nice to have you in the chat, buddy. Says, I'm cynical about it. The game is simplicity is the beauty of it. agree with that, mate, definitely. And they were already adding to the rules. Adding in various mercenaries spoils the vibe for me. Honestly feels like a way to sell more minis, in which case I'd rather see more card expansions adding whole warbands. I don't disagree with what you're saying, mate, actually. One of the things I've kind of completely fell in love with Warcry is the fact, it's its simplicity. It's the fact that I'm not having to try and kind of remember a million rules. Every game I play, I have fun playing because I'm playing the game. I'm not trying to kind of, how does this work? How does that work? Are you doing that right? Am I doing this right? The cards are all out in front of me. I like all that. I love the way it works. I'm hoping the vast majority of this book basically adds a lot of kind of campaign and narrative stuff with the monsters that will be purely optional if you don't play that kind of part of the game. You don't even have to play that if you play campaigns. The mercenary stuff, I'm hoping it's really quite straightforward and that they don't really kind of add too many more rules. At the end of the day, they just need to they need to have some stats. They maybe need to have some abilities that are kind of based upon, when you're rolling your initiative dice. They need to have some abilities that they can do to make them kind of a little bit special. But I hope there's not the point creep, and I hope it doesn't add in 25 different extra rules that basically you end up having to flick between two different books to kind of find all that information. So I think I'm probably a bit more positive about it than you are. But I think we're probably in a very similar position, actually. Noxie's just saying his mate just texted to say the first wave of Shadespire models all shown as sold out on the GW site. Skeletons, Orcs, Skaven look like they're on the way out. I wonder, there was always going to be talk about rotations within Underworlds. I don't think they've mentioned that so far, that it's going to happen so fast. But I can imagine that they would want to try and limit it to like a few seasons. Otherwise, there are a lot of cards involved, and it's very, very difficult for new players to get a foothold in once you've got kind of 3 seasons on the go. But let's see how that goes, mate. Spire Tyrants, that was the one I couldn't remember. The new Chaos Warrior will be released whenever Dark Oath are revealed. It wouldn't surprise me if one of these, if not both of these warbands, are linked to an AOS faction that we haven't seen yet, and there's a bit of a dual release there as well, because it makes sense if they're sculpting new models on the back of something. These new, what they call bone tithe, something like that. I'm surprised we haven't seen something like that appearing within Warcry. We might yet. Brian Schmidt is in, finally painted my 2 starter set warbands and the terrain. Haven't touched the beast yet, and now I have to buy an expansion. I want to pretend I'd be disciplined, but let's be realistic. Yeah, you've got to be kind of careful how you think about it. You don't need to buy an expansion. You don't have to buy an expansion. It's an expansion. It's not part of the core game. It's an expansion to the game. It's like when you buy a video game and there is downloadable content. It's optional. You don't have to buy it. However, you could liken it to things like Call of Duty when they download new maps. And if you want to play a lot of online stuff, you feel like you're missing out if you don't get the new maps. So I kind of get what you mean. But I think, and maybe this is a topic for another time, but all of this kind of peer pressure and this kind of fear of missing out, yes, it might be driven by the market and hype from people like Games Workshop, but it's what we put upon ourselves. We can choose to ignore it. We can choose to not get involved in it. We can choose to just watch it and not buy into it. But kind of modern day consumerism means we all get kind of hyped up in that constantly surrounded by noise. So if you're on Facebook or your friends are chatting about it in WhatsApp groups, or you're on Twitter and you see people posting pictures, and you're on YouTube and GW are posting stuff, and you get the newsletter thing in your feed from Warhammer Community and all that kind of stuff. You're kind of bombarded by it. So I do get it's hard to kind of ignore, but we must remember these are optional. Even every game is optional. You don't have to buy anything, but we do. We tend to buy a lot more. Peter saying, "I'm just happy my hobby isn't Ferraris." You want to try playing things like golf, mate? I used to play golf years ago. That's an expensive hobby. I used to play airsoft as well. That's an expensive hobby as well. Ian saying I have to catch the rest on YouTube. My bus has arrived at work. Thanks for the live stream, Andy. Anytime, buddy. Safe journey as well. 2+ Tuffs in as well. Good evening, Doug. Nice to see you getting your award there as well at Nova. I was great keeping up with your photographs on Instagram as well. Looks like you had an awesome time. I'd love to get out there myself one time. He says, just tune in. I like this format of expansion. 100% optional, splashes in some missions for existing campaigns. Yeah, I think we're coming out from the same place, mate. We do share a lot of kind of common fair sort of threads, I think, when we think about things. Paul said it's like buying a car and then complaining you can buy optional chrome wing mirrors. However, have you ever kind of? I'm fortunate with my job. I get a company car, so I get a new car every 3 years with my job. But when I get my list to choose from, I obviously have to pay the tax on it. So I still pay every month for this car, and I get I then get the choice of which car I want from the list. Then I get a choice to pay for optional extras myself. And I know, and it's the same kind of thing. I'll go, well, I could have this or I could have that. And that's for something that I don't get to keep. I get to drive it for 3 years and hand it back. So I know how you can get wrapped up in that stuff. And it's like if you're buying a new TV and you go, what is it? It's like £500 for a TV. Or for £550, it comes with this kind of like fancy smart stuff. Or for £600, I get the next size up. Or for £650, if I spend £700, I get a free soundbar. And before you know it, you're spending £700 or £800 on a TV that originally you were going to spend £500 on. It's just how stuff works these days, isn't it? We get caught up in it. VJ saying, was I Zyok Bone Reapers? That was the fellas. Tim's not a fan of the new chunky skeletons. They are very Necronish, aren't they? I'll give you that. The story of them feels almost Stormcast as well, so I need to know more about them, but not that I pay OS, but I can only imagine at some point we might see them in Warcry. Marco was saying, did you have a chance of playing with Chaotic Beasts? Thoughts? I'm only playing simple games with my son to get up to speed slowly and not using abilities yet. I've actually not used the Chaotic Beast yet, if I'm honest, mate. I've not played the narrative stuff yet. I've not played any of the missions that involves them. We have been using all of the abilities and the full rules, if you like, but we've not really used those Chaotic Beasts in. So I can't really comment on them yet. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of them as models. Not as much as I am with the warbands and stuff, but I like the fact that they're there. I like the fact they're optional. I like the fact they add something to the game. But yeah, personally, I've not actually used them yet. Peter Magro's in as well. He says, expansion seems not must-have, except maybe Chaos Beasts. Seems very useful. They add a lot of variation. Chaos Beasts aren't part of the expansion, rather they're part of the core set. They're in the core rulebook. So, but again, I've been playing without them, so they are still optional. Christopher Joseph's in as well. He says, still holding out hope for a standalone Skaven warband. Yeah, me too, mate. I've got the Skaven warband for Underworlds, and I've never sort of played Skaven before. Skaven weren't really a big thing in AOS when I was playing. They more recently kind of came into it, and I never played Warhammer Fantasy, so I do like some of those Skaven models. So yeah, it'd be quite nice to have a Skaven warband. Different Gear TV saying, I bloody love them chrome wing mirrors. Also them lights you put on the air valves. VJ says it's pronounced Ossiarch. There you go, mate. Shows what I know, eh? We got Richard in. Hello, mate. How are you doing? He's just gluing his iron. Gollum's got a choice of signifier or prefector. I've not read the rules. Are there a big difference between them? To be honest, mate, when you look online, there is kind of a mix of people, sort of, kind of given the benefits of both. I think I personally went for the one that gave me the higher points value. I think that was the reason I chose it. So I didn't go for, this is the one with the kind of with like the kind of the gong thing, isn't it? I didn't choose that one. I chose the other one. Different TV. If I had a spare tenner, I'd upgrade my mum's Fiat Panda. Peter Nicholas is on about light up valve caps. Alan Rogers is in as well. He says, don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you, Alan. Yes, anybody that is watching this, please do hit the like button. Very nice if you do that. How are we doing for time? Right, it's 5 to 10. Tell you what we'll do. We'll do the mug giveaway now. So you can win one of these bad boys if you enter the competition. What I've done is, let me just flick across to here. I've loaded in the video which had all the comments on. Or actually, I've cut and pasted the URL into there. So I'll load in the comments. Now it says there was 51 unique commenters. There's 128 comments on that video, but some people have commented twice. Some of them are my replies and stuff. So that is the amount of people that's in this. Now one of them might be me. If I win, I will draw it again. So in theory, if you're in the competition, you have a 1 in 50 chance of winning, which is not too bad, is it? I think there was more people entered the Facebook one. However, I was very clever to make sure I announced how to do this kind of in the middle of the live stream. So the people that have entered are the people that tend to watch the live streams kind of start to finish. So that's kind of what I want. I want the winner to be somebody that kind of interacts and watches live streams. So let's click that button, start the raffle, and pick a random winner. And the winner of the mug is, who's it going to be? It's going to be Tony Howell. There you go, Tony. What a night to come in for your first live stream. So, buddy, make sure you drop me a message either on Facebook or drop me. Just get in touch, Tony. I'm sure you might still be in the chat. If not, I'll drop you a note at some point. But Tony Howell, you are the winner. I need to take a picture of that actually, so I can remember who it was, just in case. Let me do that while I'm here. There we go. I'll not forget now. So Tony's a winner. I'll be sending you out one of these mugs. And the last winner from the Facebook group was in Canada. So I had to send the mug out to Canada. So don't worry about where you're from, mate. I'm not sure. I've got a feeling you might be UK. But yeah, don't worry about where you're from, mate. It's all part of the prize. So there you go. So there is the mug. Where are we at? Mark Berraclough said, I really like the look of Warcry, but have too much on at the moment. Yeah, if you're enjoying what you're playing, mate, Warcry's awesome, don't get me wrong, but there's loads of other awesome games as well. Dustin says, expansions are held the same reverence as removing mold lines. I see it bigger than mold lines, but how can I say the same? How many say the same? Randall saying, has anybody heard anything about Sisters of Battle in Kill Team? I think we'll probably see more once Sisters of Battle are a bit closer to release. It wouldn't surprise me if they just released the rules in White Dwarf like they did recently with the demons. Noxie's just saying the same thing there as well. Everybody saying congrats to Tony there. Trevor saying, night kids, time to make the little ones dinner. Yeah, I know what that's like. Me and my little ones asleep next door as well. We're back to normal. You can tell we're back to normal now. My wife's away with work. I'm here on baby duty. He's next door. Hopefully he doesn't wake up while I'm in the middle of this. Brandon is saying they won't come out with factions and not give Kill Team rules from now on. Is that basically the new kind of thing what they're doing with Kill Team now, is it, mate? I've not seen that. Everyone is saying well done to Tony as well. Nick says, do you ever play any Infinity? Yeah, I did, mate. Actually, I quite like Infinity, actually. It's just a game that requires a hell of a lot of brain space, and it needs a hell of a lot of terrain. And I didn't have either of those things. It's one of the reasons I love Warcry. It's one of the reasons I got into Kill Team, is the fact that the terrain is kind of almost part of the purchase. So I don't feel like I'm spending money on terrain and not getting anything for it. When I buy terrain for Warcry, when I bought terrain for Kill Team, I was getting the board, I was getting all of the terrain that went on it. I was getting an actual plain sort of surface, if you like. With Infinity, it's quite an expensive kind of thing to build up that much terrain for those games and make it look nice as well. So yeah, that was one of the only reasons I didn't really sort of like get stuck into Infinity too heavily. That and the fact that basically it's one of those games where I think it needs to be your main game. You to be able to keep up with it and keep up with the good players, you need to kind of devote your headspace to that one game. Robbie Laster's in as well. He says, good morning. Good morning, Robbie. How are you? Tim Cavity says he played 2. I did say hello to you early on, but he didn't. I'm sure I did. He's played 2 games with his Cypher Lords yesterday. Love that warband. Yeah, they're quite cool. They're quite tricksy the way they kind of get around a little bit. Yeah, I still haven't played my Corvus Cabal yet because they're not painted yet. So I'm looking forward to getting those on the table. Marco says, what do you think about the new terrain set? I quite like it, actually. I think it's the kind of terrain set that will mix well with the core set. And the only thing I would say at the minute is, and I think this has been commented online, there's not a lot of height in these sets. However, I like the way they combine together. It's bulking the sets out. I think there's some options to kind of mix and match a little bit. So put some of the platforms that we've got or some of the buildings that we've got on top of some of the other things. So if you've got the Shattered Stone Vault, there's nothing saying that you couldn't kind of put buildings on top of the platforms and things. If you've got a buddy that's got a copy as well, put 2 together as well. So 2 core sets together. This new one, I think the aesthetic of it fits well with the other terrain sets. Will I buy it? Yeah, probably, just because I'm becoming a bit of a completionist with it, and I'm actually really enjoying painting the terrain at the minute. It's not taking me long to do, and I'm enjoying doing that. So I think I'll pick it up. Excuse me again. Oh, something still in my throat. I think I'll pick it up. £55 and then kind of 20% or 25% off online for pre-orders as well. Brings it down to quite a decent little cost, really. And like I say, I'm quite enjoying painting it all up. VJ is saying the general vibe from interviews on Stormcast and Boxcast is that you should be able to play your minis in all systems. Yeah, I think that they are starting to. They're starting to head that way. They touched on it a little. I mean, for example, Kill Team was always about using 40k minis. They're starting to kind of branch out the not Kill Team. Sorry, they're starting to branch out the Shadespire stuff, the Underworld stuff, so you can use that within AOS lists. Warcry is starting to bring in some of the AOS factions. You can use the Chaos factions in the AOS. I think they've almost. That's one of the reasons I really like Warcry. It feels like they've learned from some of the experiments that they've done with things like Underworlds, with things like Kill Team, and that there's a bit more forethought gone into some of this stuff now, which is why I kind of think that this expansion is a bit more is an optional expansion. I didn't like the way they did the Kill Team stuff, but looking back on it, it was still just an It was still just an optional expansion. It was so kind of out the blue. It was a surprise, really. I wasn't expecting it. The difference with Warcry is I'm kind of expecting this now. They have said though, and I think if Doug's still around in 2+ stuff there, they have said I think there's a 3-year support plan in place for this. So they have things planned out for the next 3 years. I'm pretty sure they won't be releasing the things as quickly as this, but they've got a support plan rolled out for the next 3 years. If the game is successful, so within 12 months of it being launched, if things are going really well, they'll probably start sort of thinking about what's the next thing to come out once that sort of 3-year plan's over, because they work about 12 months to 24 months in advance anyway. So the future looks pretty rosy for Warcry, to be honest. I just hope that it expands at the right rate without kind of overcomplicating it too fast. I'm not saying in 2 years' time I won't be ready for a bit more crunchy rule set, because I know this inside out now, or a bit of a different kind of way of playing the game. But at the minute, I like where it is, and I'd like to play like that for quite some time before I'm ready to kind of completely sort of turn the game on its head, if you like. Brandon saying, yeah, they want the crossover, so you might invest in 2 or more systems. Busy there saying, have you got any build videos coming up soon? To people that don't know, BlackJack makes great gaming table. I haven't actually. I haven't built anything in a little while. The kind of the board, the table that hangs on my wall there is the last thing I made. The problem with the build stuff is I tend to only build stuff that I need personally. I need myself, and at the minute there's nothing I really need. So I don't really have the time or the space to just make stuff for video purposes. But yeah, at some point, something will probably crop up. Crony29 says, what do you think of the Chimera model? Or the Chimera model, I should say. I quite like it, actually. I mean, it's an older sculpt. A lot of these monsters are, to be fair. But if I'm right in thinking as well, some of them still come on square bases, I think. I quite like the model, and these are going to be quite nice to just paint for fun, I think. You know, as a bit of a, even just as a bit of a display model that you can use in your games and stuff. However, I'm not sure at the minute how many of them I'll be buying. I need to read the campaign stuff, I think, before I decide whether it's something I want to dive into. I certainly let's not say never, but I'm not planning to pre-order one sort of for next weekend. Peter saying, with any luck, I should get the gaming table finished in time to get buried in it. I know what that's like, mate. Marco says, my wife was so nice to get me 2 more warbands. I only miss the unmade, but can't really enjoy the look of them. Anyone plays them, any good? I actually quite like them, mate, if I'm honest. There's something about them that is just, it's so far removed from normal AOS. It's given them a real chance to do something very, very different, because they don't have to flesh out a full army or a full race. And it's just these little kind of sort of warband, villager kind of cults, if you like. It's given them an opportunity to really come up with some sort of cool ideas. The Unmade, I've read sort of their story in the anthology book now, and actually it's made me more interested in them, if I'm honest. I've not played them yet because I haven't painted them yet, but yeah, I like them. Paul saying, love a BlackJack build video. Thanks, mate. Jack saying, is there a rules FAQ yet for the abilities? Got a question for undead. If I raise a mini from the dead, can I use that mini in that round? If I used it before it died in that battle round. The FAQ is still outstanding at the minute. That was one thing somebody mentioned today as well, was we haven't even had the answers for the FAQ yet, and they've got a new expansion coming out. Maybe they might want some questions from the expansion as well before they release that. And I don't know the answer to your question, mate. I've not played the undead stuff yet, so I'm not really familiar with how it plays, but my assumption, it probably depends upon the wording of, are you bringing back the same model, or are you raising just an undead model? If it says you're bringing back the same model, I'd assume you can't use it again that round. If it just says you're bringing back an undead model, I'd assume that maybe you can. There'll be something in the kind of fine wording, I guess. G Daddy Gamer saying his friends and only play the core rules for Kill Team. Have a great time. Yeah, when I play now, I only use them core rules, and I miss out quite a chunk of them, to be fair, just to kind of make it streamlined, just for some kind of fun one-off games. Andy Smith, hello buddy, how are you doing? He says, had a demo game with Sarah at Warhammer World on Friday. Loved it. Need to build ours now. How was Warhammer World at the weekend? I mean, I almost went down on Saturday with my 2 oldest sons, but long story short, we didn't. But I'm planning to go down soon, actually. Noxie's there saying he just plays the core and sometimes elite. I've never actually. I didn't pick up the core set either. I didn't pick up the elite or the commanders expansions. I did, however, pick up the arena expansion for it. Andy said you got the Mausoleum set too. Terrain's good for Kill Team. Yeah, actually, there's no reason why you couldn't have that kind of that crossover between the 2 sets. Paul Palm says, can't believe you didn't like my briefcase gaming idea, table idea to Busey there. I saw somebody recently made a folding gaming table out of a wallpaper paste table, and it was for like demo games to take to like conventions and stuff, and that was pretty cool. I could potentially do a build on something like that for Warcry because of the size of it. That might not be a bad shout. Noxie saying he might use the unmade to make Kill Team Chaos cultists. That would work quite well as well, mate. Alan saying the anthology story helped me warm up to the unmade. Yeah. And he's saying the Cypher Lords is his favourite. I'm just reading that one now, mate, actually. I've only just started it. So yeah, I'll need to finish that one off. Bit of chat there from the guys as well. How are we doing for time? 10 past 10. I'll have a quick breather there. So yeah, so let me bring up the stuff that is being released. I'm going to come back and go onto the Warhammer community page. Just bear with me while I flick around and pick up the new. I think it's this one. So, so the book is being released. For those that didn't hear me earlier on, it's going to be £15 in the UK for this book. So I'm assuming it's going to be somewhere in the region of $25 maybe in the US, something like that. About $600 in Australia. I don't know why the exchange rates are as they are for you boys. I really do apologise. But Monsters and Mercenaries book is going to be available. It doesn't say anything about it being like, you know how the Commander stuff, I think, did they come like in like a card sleeve or something like that with some cards and things? There's no mention of that for this. The Chimera is going to be repackaged with a card for it, like a stat card. Now, I don't think the plan is to repackage them, because it says this terrifying creature has been repacked to come with all of the rules cards. Cards is quite important, that you need to use it in games of Warcry. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the other monsters. It says the book includes rules for adding powerful mercenary heroes. Talk with Zangor Shaman there as well. Zangor Shaman to use with Cypher Lords. Yeah, so that would still kind of tie in with Chaos and Chaos, wouldn't it? And then there was this. Does that say defiled runes? Does it say there? I can't read it from here. So what we've got here is another terrain set for it, and I've not seen any opened out pictures of it. The base there, the kind of the mat, if you like, seems to be very kind of deserty. Would mix in quite well with the with. Actually, wouldn't the other boards? I mean, it'll probably mix when you flip it over to the other side. However, what I would say is this is the last of the terrain boxes that we've seen. So on the Warcry website, it showed these 3 sets. So the 2 that's behind me here, plus this one. Combine that with a core set, that is 4 terrain sets with 4 mats that would kind of match together on the flip side. So I wonder, there's not a lot. I don't think there's any other terrain sets already available that they could repackage now for Warcry from EOS stuff. So we do start to get more now. It'll be interesting to see what they use. So that's mentioned as well. Then we get into the Iron Golems and the Untamed Beasts. These are just basically the core set factions if you didn't buy the core starter set. And here we've got the Chaotic Beasts as well, again, if you didn't buy the starter set. So everything will be available to pre-order from next Saturday. Make sure you check back throughout the week, as we will be taking a closer look at both in Warcry, Monsters and Mercenaries. So it doesn't mention anything about card packs or anything like that, but this is everything that is up for pre-release this Saturday. Let's have a look here. Robbie says, how's it going to go with the new 50 plus Merc units? I assume they won't be getting cards. I've heard a few things. So if anybody's familiar with Silver Tower, they did like hero cards, a hero card pack for that. And I think I'd quite like to see that here, actually, because I quite like the idea of having the cards. The other side of it is they might put them in the book. It then makes it very difficult to tweak them from a points perspective in the future if they're in the book. Does it make it any more difficult than replacing cards? Maybe not. The other option is potentially if they're not in the book, they might be downloadable war scrolls from the AOS site as well. Because I have read somewhere as well, and I think it's been confirmed, that at some point the AOS factions, the ones that you could buy the cards for kind of originally and still can, the original AOS faction stuff, their cards are going to be available as online downloads as well at some point. So maybe that's the future now. Andy Smith says, Warhammer World was really busy on Friday. Had a game of Blood Bowl 2. Enjoyed that. Never played before. I think there was there a 40k doubles tournament on there at the weekend? I think that was one of the reasons why we didn't go down the Saturday. Cause kicked my microphone there. One of the reasons we didn't go down the Saturday because it was going to be quite busy. BJ saying 600 Australian dollars sounds about right. And Robbie says, yeah, about $70 for us, I reckon. I don't think it'll be as much as that. Let me have a quick look on the GW site while I'm flicking about here, because something that's, let me find something that's about £15. I think some of these heroes that they're talking about are about 15 quid actually, I think. So let me see. Let's have a look. With our picks here, for example, let's pick Grand Alliance Chaos. Let's pick Skaven, and I'm sure one of the Skaven heroes, if I can find them, is one of the ones. Right, so the Skaven Verminous Spike Claws Swarm is 15 quid. So if I click on that now, and if I change my location to US, and let's see what their 15 quid translate to, $25. So I reckon that rule book is going to be $25 in the US. Let's try Australia. $40 US. Is that right? Or was that completely change it to a different? Does that change it to a different model? No, it hasn't. It's all right. Ignore me. Yeah. So I would say $25 US, $40 Australia. I think that's what we're looking at. Because yeah, 15 quid in the UK. Just had a donation there from Different Gear TV. Thank you very much, buddy. Much appreciated. Thank you. Where are we at? Pete saying, I'm wondering if the mercenaries will be split into subsections like heroes, spellcasters. I think they're probably, from the way it was worded, I'm sure there'll be something to do with what's it called, like their rune symbols. I'm sure there'll be something like that on them. But I think they're going to be linked to the Grand Alliances, so Chaos with Chaos, Order with Order. But I'm not sure they'll be kind of split down any further than that, I don't think. Mr. Snowyak says, hello. Hello, buddy. How are you doing? Peter Nicholas says, £1 my final offer. VJ saying, so the same as warbands, $45. No, I think basically, so yeah, I've been told by somebody that runs a store that they've obviously had the pre-order prices out. £15 for the Warcry book, for the Monsters and Mercenaries book. So if I use that as a guideline on the GW website and look to see something else that was £15 and then kind of converted it. So I think we're looking at £25 US and $40. $25 US and $40 in Australia. That should give you a bit of an idea anyway. Andy says, has my mug got lost in the post? You've not won it yet, buddy. Marco says, Benvenuta at Francesca. Have I missed the comment by Francesca? I didn't notice that. Or was that the person that just subscribed there, pinged up on the screen there? Yeah, so last kind of 10 minutes or so now, we'll say. How are people kind of, how do you feel at the minute? I mean, I know how do I want to put this? I know I've done a lot of Warcry content recently, and I'm not planning on slowing down with the Warcry stuff. I'm really enjoying it. People seem to be watching it. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what it's all about. If I enjoy it and people watch it, that's kind of the point, isn't it? So how are people feeling about that kind of stuff? What else would people like to see? Because I've never really been a kind of a battle report channel. I tend to talk about stuff. There's plenty of stuff coming out at the minute for me to talk about. I've got some plans for a few videos, but if there's anything you particularly want to see, do you want to see any painting stuff? Do you want to see any comparisons, any builds of things? Just kind of give me some ideas about if there's something you particularly want to see. Not saying I'll definitely do them, but it just gives me some ideas about what people like to watch. Mark was saying £15 from GW and about £12 from Element. Sounds very promising. Yeah, I think at that price you'll probably have to pay postage for it as well, because it's not a lot. and I guess people might just be quite happy to pay the extra £3 and go to a local GW or something as well. But if anybody is ordering any of these pre-orders at the weekend and you're in the UK and you're ordering from Element Games, please do check out the links below in this description of the video. There'll be an affiliate link. You pay the same discounted Element Games price, and I get a small commission for sending you their way. Matt Wilkinson says glad he hasn't purchased his Chimera. I think GW could use a slowdown for a bit on the releases. I think we'll probably see it starting to ease off a little bit now. What we might see is reboxed monsters. We'll see those 2 warbands come out at some point. We might see some kind of chaotic beasts come out or something like that. But really, other than the 2 warbands, I can't really see. Well, do we? It's hard to say because part of me thinks. Well, I think they're kind of striking while the iron's hot. Their schedule is pretty full till the end of the year with the stuff they've already got listed that's coming out. So maybe it's just a case of fitting it into 3 weekends. Maybe something else wasn't ready in time and the schedule shifted around, so they've had to bring this forward a little bit. Could be a number of different reasons, but yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I have another donation there as well. Thank you very much, Juan. That's very, very nice of you. Again, much appreciated. I really do appreciate it. Thanks very much. I never know how to say thanks. How can you be ungrateful, mister? It's really no matter how many times people kind of donate things to me, it really does kind of always catch me off guard, and I always get a bit shy about it. But it's massively appreciated. Thank you, buddy. It helps me kind of keeping everything going. People are saying, keep doing what you're doing. Painting updates will be good. Pinkie Pie says My Little Pony. Oh, I can't say that one happening, buddy. Tim saying more videos on the rules people get wrong. They seem to be pretty popular as well. We've also got another member as well. Join the chat there as well. It says, welcome, Brad Jimenez. Thank you for joining that, buddy. Much appreciated also as well. So if anybody doesn't realise what's happening here, you've got a couple of options. There's a few options on how you can support me and support the channel. One option is I have Patreon. There's a link in the description of every video. Don't feel that you have to donate every single month on Patreon. Just because you become a Patreon kind of member doesn't mean that you're kind of like locked in forever. You can do it 1 month and cancel it the next month. You can do it however you want to do it. So don't feel that you're kind of locked in forever. Patreon is one way to do that. There is a super chat button that you'll probably see in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, where you can donate an amount, whatever you would like to. That's what Juan has just done there as well, and Different Gear TV too. And then there is also, you can become a member. What that does is you'll see some people in the chat, people like Peter Nicholas there, who have their name is in green and they have a little BlackJack Legacy logo beside their name. They are basically paying them, I think it's $4.99 every month, which gives them kind of, their name gets highlighted in the chat and I can see that when they're asking questions and things, and it helps kind of support the channel as well. So yeah, thank you to everybody that does that. Where we at now? Steve saying, your channel, mate, and if you're enjoying Warcry, go for it, but I'd like something a bit different now and again. I think the difference is at the minute, mate, I've kind of found something that's really clicked for me, both like from my own personal gaming and is working on the channel as well. And there's plenty to talk about. It's really kind of got my interest. The problem is I'm not really kind of up to speed with a lot of the other stuff now these days. So where I used to kind of keep abreast on every single thing that was going, it took up so much of my time. I'm probably a little bit more kind of spread thin across the other stuff at the minute, but that doesn't mean I won't be talking about other stuff, mate. And as far as the Facebook group goes as well, the Facebook group, I'll get my words out, the Facebook group will always be a mix of all the different games out there, be that board games, card games, miniatures games, anything. That'll always stay that way. And I always like to see what people are doing and people chatting amongst themselves as well. It's not always about me getting involved. It's about that whole community coming together and chatting about what you guys are up to and you girls are up to. But yeah, video-wise, I don't really kind of make. It's not like I'm making like thousands of pounds out of this kind of thing from kind of like doing Warcry videos and stuff. So it's not like I don't get paid to make videos. Everything I make out of this YouTube channel is through donations for people, a little bit from YouTube advertising. But if anybody who has a YouTube channel knows, you get very little for that. So this is really all about like I have to just do what I enjoy. There's no point me kind of sitting here and just kind of making videos about stuff I'm not interested in, especially when this is my spare time, this is my hobby time as well. And you will know if I do videos about stuff I'm not interested in, it would come across on camera. I couldn't get passionate about stuff that I'm not interested in. I couldn't kind of transmit that across to you. And I'm sure that you probably come back and watch some of this stuff because you can tell that I enjoy it really. So yeah, works both ways. Where are we at? We just had another member there as well, Pete Smith. Thank you very much, Pete. Much appreciated, buddy. BJ says he's picked up. There's Mark saying with pre-order of Jaws comes on the 1st of November. We need to play that. Jaws, bloody hell, mate. Yeah, I forgot that board game was coming out. Yeah, I was trying to think there. Tim said I'll be getting my free Patreon mug and t-shirt soon. Not long, mate. Peter says, Peter said he drives but others can't. Andrew Flaxman says tactics and strategies for different war bands. I might try and do that, mate, at some point. Actually, now I'm playing more games as well. Andy Smith says Facebook group. Yeah, this Facebook group. Yeah, thanks again, Pete. That's just coming up in the chat there as well. Vomvood says, I'm still on the fence with Warcry. My main love is Necromunda, although still playing first edition and got the terrain set you got thanks to that vid. If you really, really enjoy Necromunda, I'm not really sure I'd recommend Warcry to you. Necromunda is really crunchy, and I'm sure if that's your bag, if that's what you enjoy, you'll potentially find Warcry quite light. Now, if you're picking it up as a bit of a second game, might not be a bad thing, but I don't think it'll replace Necromunda for you if Necromunda is really your kind of game, that really heavy, crunchy rule set. It's not my bag. Warcry is much more my kind of game, and I think the two they're almost at opposite ends of the scale. Where Warcry is almost just like telling a story with miniatures. The rules are streamlined so that you can just get in and have fun and tell your story. Necromunda is almost like a fully fledged RPG. You're almost getting into kind of like a role playing game with miniatures. I think is my opinion anyway. Juan there is saying get started with a Flesh Eater Courts box. Yes, Flesh Eater Courts get collecting boxes, whatever they're called. They're going to be a fantastic value now because I think have they got a zombie dragon in or a terrorgeist or something in them? They're going to be really, really good value now. Julian is saying, I think I would like to see the mercenaries more. Say 6 new named characters that you would have cards for. Yeah, we'll have to kind of see. We'll have to see, won't we? How that comes up. Because I'm not sure how those card things are going to work out. BJ says nothing new on the Patreon since August the 17th, mate. Yeah, it's just because I've been on holiday, mate. That's all. I did something on the Saturday before I went away, I think, didn't I? I'm not sure if you've seen that. I did a bit of an update. But yeah, when we've been away on holiday, mate, I've literally done no social media, any of that kind of stuff while I've been away. I'll get onto that one though as well. Dustin saying the ongoing issue of the diversity of our community. I came for the mugs. I hope the hope of non-GW chat, but GW chat gets the views, so the small guys stay small. The problem is, mate, and I've been doing this nearly 3 years now, and you can never kind of accuse me of being a GW fanboy. I've never really kind of heavily covered any of their games. I've always covered the games that I enjoy playing. I just happen to enjoy playing a GW game now. However, I have seen the impact over the last few weeks of what happens when you do cover the kind of the more popular GW games. There is nothing I can do as a small channel, and I do consider myself a small channel. There's nothing I can do really that is going to take a smaller game to the masses. If you, as an example, if you see some of the bigger channels, if you see what Beasts of War do when they talk about kind of small independent games, if you see what Ash Barker does from a views point of view when he talks about small independent games, if you see what Mini Wargaming do when they talk about smaller independent games, their views drop off the edge of a cliff. Mini Wargaming has over 300,000 subscribers, and some of their videos get 1,000, 2,000 views. Now that might be huge for a small company, but it isn't going to make Mini Wargaming make another video on it. You can see some of the stuff that Beasts of War do. They've had videos where they've been talking about smaller games, and to be fair, they get paid to talk about these smaller games, so they're not relying upon the views for anything. They've getting their payment for kind of making that video. Some of their videos get 300, 400 views. You know what I mean? It's almost, when you're that big and you've got staff and all of that kind of stuff, it's almost not worth your time. Now, when you come down to smaller channels like me and people around my size, it becomes a different thing about you make the videos that you enjoy. You make the videos for yourself, really, and hope that other people watch them. Because the problem is, you're not going to make any money out of it. You're not going to get many views out of it. So, for example, there's certain things I can help companies with when there are a certain size. So companies like Mantic, I've done quite a bit of stuff like videos on Mantic games that I've been playing, and I can reach decent numbers with Mantic games, because there's not a lot of people covering it, and they're a relatively decent sized kind of company within the miniature gaming industry. But if I want to cover something sort of really obscure, nobody's searching for it on YouTube. That's the problem. Nobody's really looking for it. These companies have to promote them themselves as well. They have to get out there and scream and shout about it. So it's kind of hard, really. It's so to see that smaller games or smaller companies never get anywhere. The onus isn't on me to do that. It's like I do this in my free time. It's not like I'm kind of under any obligation to kind of to market for free for these companies. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. We go down a whole different path talking about this, but yeah. Matthew Wilkinson has just donated as well. Thank you very much, Matthew. Awesome. Thanks, mate. Where are we at? Paul says, I've got 3 Patreons, Tabletop Minions, BlackJack, and a crime podcast. Oh, what's the crime podcast one, mate? I listen to a lot of podcasts. And thank you as well, mate. Much appreciated. Al says, not a Warcry guy, but enjoying the chat and the hype. Do you do what you like, bud? 40k releases and the Psychic Awakening is very interesting from a narrative and gaming point of view as well. Yeah, it's not like I can't say that I'd start covering like a load of 40k stuff, for example, because I don't know enough about it. It's one of these things where you're only going to enjoy what I make if I kind of know what I'm talking about a little bit. There are so many people who know a lot more about 40k than I ever will, and those are the channels to watch. We have got another member as well tonight. Welcome, Tony Howell. Tony, I don't know if you noticed earlier on, buddy, but you won the mug tonight, so make sure you get in touch with me, bud. Where are we at? VJ saying, cheers, mate, all good. Paul saying there, seems a lot of creators aren't too keen on it though, VJ. I think you're talking about Patreon. The Patreon is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. However, it is still the best way for creators to try and raise some kind of some support to be able to try and kind of keep this endeavor going and stuff. My passion and my kind of idea has always been at some point I would love to make enough money each month from this that I can make almost like a part-time wage where I can quit my day job. I can sort of take my little one out of nursery and save a little bit of money there, and sort of look after him during the day and make videos and stuff as well. I would love to be able to get to that point. But the problem is, I don't get paid. I don't advertise stuff for money, so I'm not being paid the way, say, Beasts of War are being paid for each one of those videos. So I don't know if people realise this, but Beasts of War charge each of those companies to make videos for them. That's how it works. That's how those things are sustainable. Mini Wargaming do exactly the same thing as well. Not so much for the GW stuff, but if they have anything on their channel that isn't GW, the chances are they're being paid to have it on there. And they have all of their backstage stuff, and they have sponsorships and all them different things. There's a smaller channel trying to grow. Those things don't really exist to me. And there's only so many ways I can kind of sort of try and raise some money. I can sell kind of merchandise like t-shirts and things, which I do. I get a little bit of ad revenue from YouTube, but it's never ever going to be enough. I need to be getting millions of views every week to make that the income. So the other way is to try and appeal to a community who maybe want to support you. And I would never expect anybody to do it. There's no expectation on my behalf. It's just kind of, it's just like, it's almost, if you think, if you enjoy what I do, then think of it as the equivalent of kind of $2 a month is like buying me a cup of coffee to say thanks. Think of it in that kind of a way. There's no other way for me to enable that as a system, really, outside of Patreon. It's pretty much the best way to do it. The only other way I can do it is to do kind of like a Kickstarter or a crowdfunder once a year and try and raise a huge sum of money. When I say huge, I mean like I'm talking thousands. That would then basically kind of support me to step away from a day job and do this for a full year, and then do another fundraiser the next year. Channels like Shut Up and Sit Down, if you watch board games, they do that kind of thing. But there's not a lot of ways to kind of monetize this. So it's funny, like if I was painting miniatures for companies, you'd expect them to kind of pay me to paint their miniatures. If I was making videos for those companies, for them to show themselves, to promote their products, then you'd kind of expect to get paid for it, for your time and your expenses and all that kind of stuff. But if you're doing a review or you're just doing a gaming video or something like that, there's nothing to fund that. There's nothing to pay for that kind of stuff. So that's where it all becomes a little bit of a weird grey area. So sorry for kind of talking about money and stuff, but I just want to be really open and honest with you, really, about kind of what my plans are, what my passion is, if you like, and really about why I use Patreon, really. I know some people don't like it, but it's a personal choice. If there was a better way to do it, I'd do it. The Patreon at the minute is the best way of a very limited options to try and engage and to try and make some kind of a step to making this more of a more of a job, if you like. Where are we at? As I say, now then, peeps. Hope everyone's doing. Where was I? Just jump off my screen. Doing well. He's in York with a wife, and by the way, he reached 1,000 subs. Congrats, buddy. Joanna saying you're doing a fab job. I try. Steve saying need to call it a night. Downside of SIF changes. See you later, fella. Baz saying everyone liked the video. Paul saying yeah, I've seen it happen a couple of times. They make changes creators aren't happy with. I think the problem with what they try and do is the fact that it's the changes they make they don't always affect creators. That's the problem. They tend to affect the Patreons, the people that are supporting, and it's all to do with the way they kind of all of the taxes and stuff and the fees come out. So it's a bit of a mess, really. It's a bit of a mess. Counter Charge podcast. This is actually caught a live chat, Surreal. Nice to see you, buddy. Nice to see you. Buzz said nearly finished paying everything he owns, so Warcry might be next. Be good to see what you do with that, mate. Matthew says, yeah, make what you like, avoid burnout. We love games, but we all have lives as well. Yeah, I'm definitely not on the edge of kind of any burnouts or anything like that. I'm absolutely loving what I'm doing. I have limited time, that's all. I've got 3 kids, I've got a full-time job. Me and my wife both travel with our jobs. I have to try and kind of fit in when I can. I'd love to make more stuff. Just can't make more time, unfortunately. That's how it is. Countercharge says, do we know when the new Warcry book is coming out? It is up for pre-order on Saturday and it comes out the Saturday after. Von Wood says, thanks man, I understand Warcry is super light, but I'm looking at Warcry as the kitchen table game to play with my son. In that case, 100% mate, it's a good game to play. VJ says, Discord will be great for Patreons. I think the problem with, one of the reasons, mate, is I don't have a lot of Patreons, really. So when I do post on Patreon, there's not a lot of interaction, there's not a lot of feedback. I'll happily set something up like Discord for Patreons if people want that. However, it feels like the Facebook group almost, like there's 600 and odd people in the Facebook group, and there's always lots of chat there. I don't know. I mean, tell me if you think I'm wrong, or tell me if you think you can add something to it. But I don't know what I can offer differently that you wouldn't be better served in a Facebook group rather than kind of a small Discord with maybe 10 or 15 people in who never really kind of use it very much. It's maybe something for me to look at in the background. Paul says, I like the fact Patreon exists, don't get me wrong, and I'm happy I've got the opportunity to support creators I like. It just sometimes they get it wrong like any company. Yeah, I think they have to try and make money as well. And to be fair, they take a lot less money than most companies do. YouTube take a big chunk of any ad revenue that I make. They take a chunk of any kind of support I get through this kind of stuff. They take a chunk of super chats. They take their fees. And whilst I might not like that, if it wasn't for YouTube providing a free service for me to be able to make videos and upload them and for you folks to watch it, I wouldn't make anything at all, would I? So it's part and parcel of being a creator, as they say, I guess. Raphael says hello as well. Tim says, I recently supported your Patreon. Really enjoy your content and happy to help you make more. Thanks, Tim. I mean, it's a funny one because what I'm trying to do, it's sort of like, and it's kind of hard for me to explain this really because I'm fortunate. I've got a decent job. Do you know what I mean? So I have money coming in, which pays all my bills and everything else. However, I can't just quit that job overnight and start doing YouTube stuff full time. So I have to try and build up a way of making enough money to basically cover the basic bills. So that, and I'm not expecting to replace my salary. I basically just want to make enough that I can kind of cover the basics, so that I then get more time by not having a full-time job, and then I can really up the content and make a lot more stuff, which will then in turn kind of get me more views and get me more revenue that way and put me out in front of more people, and then it'll kind of sustainably grow over time. The biggest hurdle I've got at the minute is jumping away from doing a full-time job to being able to break away from that, create more free time to be able to make more content. And that's where it gets really it's really difficult. And it might take years, but I'm prepared to kind of keep working at it. I just hope that by making the most of what little free time I have, I can grow it fast enough that it's not just a pipe dream that's 20 years down the line, if you like. VJ says, I feel like Discord might just give a bit more value for Patreons. I use the tabletop minions and Agents of Sigmar ones a lot, and Agents are a much smaller community than you. It's maybe something I need to look into then, mate, really. I mean, I'm happy to try and kind of make it as valuable as possible for people to get more out of it. The problem I've got is I'm a one-man band, basically. I do everything on my own. I've tried to do it so I can give something back to people that want to support me, but without giving myself a mountain of work on top of the mountain of stuff that I already have to do for this kind of stuff as well. So I'm happy to set that up, and I'll drop something in the Patreon page tomorrow and see if people are interested in that. Because what I don't want to do is kind of make a load of work for me that nobody really wants to use it, if you like. Usually saying we'll do Patreon as a self-employed. I prefer to bung a few quid when I have it in the super chat. It's really appreciated. I'm not. Yes, I'm asking people if they feel inclined to kind of support me. It feels weird this now, kind of getting into the cash talk. It's nice that people want to support me and they support me when they can, and it always, every single penny goes back into the channel. It's not like I kind of save that money up and go on a foreign holiday kind of thing. Everything that I make from that goes back into better equipment, sort of games to kind of to share with you, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I really do appreciate every single penny, mate. Tim saying, definitely keep at it, mate. I'm sure they'll get there. It's just more about time, mate. To be fair, it's just how long will it take. I'm not giving up anytime soon, but will I still have that same enthusiasm if I'm just every kind of spare minute is kind of plugged into it 7 or 8 years down the line? I've got loads of energy for this. I love making videos. I love editing videos. I love interacting with communities. I love doing these live streams. Just wish I had more time, that's all. Raphael says, will you be covering more Mantic news? Yeah, possibly, mate. Yeah, it just depends on the games, really. It just depends on if there's a Mantic game that I'm really interested in and I'm playing at that particular time. I'm not specifically avoiding their stuff. It's just I'm playing a lot of Warcry at the minute. It just, like I say, I make the videos about the stuff I enjoy. So if there's something that they make that I'm enjoying, so much the better. VJ says, I'm self-employed. Also, keep my subs under a certain limit. But as someone who is self-employed, I know and appreciate a reliable income that comes from subs. Yeah, this is the thing when it comes to YouTube stuff. It needs to almost be a kind of a reliable income, and I am a long way off it becoming a very reliable income, but you got to keep working at it. It's like you guys that are saying that basically you're self-employed. You know what it's like as well. You didn't just from day one suddenly start making enough money to kind of pay the bills, if you like. You've got to work harder, and you can't stop. Unfortunately, that's how it works. So yeah, I need to keep plugging at it. Yeah. Where are we at as well? Paul says, "You do enough, mate. We love you." I never feel like I do enough, mate. That's the problem. Tony says, "Keep going, buddy. I don't know what Patreon is at the moment, being a little long in the tooth, but I'll do my homework and support you, buddy. Honestly, do not feel obliged to do anything. I don't want this to come across as some kind of heavy sales pitch. I'm just trying to kind of like showing you some of the background stuff about some people do like 4 and 5 videos a week. Some people absolutely churn them out. I physically don't have that amount of free time to do more than I'm doing at the minute. It's tough. It's hard, but I do it because I love it, and that's why I love to do this more. Paul saying best live stream of the week. Too kind, man. Peter says, I hope you enjoy these sessions as much as the rest of us. Thank you very much, Peter. That's really, really kind of you, mate. I absolutely love these Monday nights. I mean, it's nice at the minute that we're getting bigger numbers in than I used to get. Like we're getting like 120, 130 people in live. Those streams then go on and get watched up to maybe 2,500, 3,000 or 4,000 times sometimes as well, and that's really nice. It's nice to. Oh, Tony, man, I appreciate that, mate, but you didn't have to. Very, very. Thank you, buddy. What was I saying? Yes, live streams. The reason I've done the live streams is I know Mondays. I'm normally home I'm normally always home on a Monday night. I don't tend to work away on Mondays, so I make a point of kind of Monday was the night I decided that was when I would do my live streams. And the way it's kind of worked out is just I know if I always do a live stream, I'll always at least have one video every week, even if my week's really busy and I don't have time to film something specifically and edit it and upload it and do all that kind of stuff. At least I'll kind of always have the Monday night live stream, and it gives me the kind of the momentum to just keep going, because if you stop making videos for a few weeks, if things get busy, you kind of get out of that routine, and it's a weird one to get back into again. You won't, because you're not making anything out of it kind of stuff. It's not like a job where you have to do it or your bills don't get paid. So you almost just go, well, I'll have a week off or something like that, and then it's like, I can't really bother to get back into it now. It's a funny thing. So the live streams almost started off as a way to kind of keep that momentum rolling, but it gives me an opportunity to kind of just be me and kind of show you who I am. My videos, I try and kind of do the best quality I can do, and so I try to put a bit more kind of effort into scripting and camera angles and all those different kind of things. But The Mondays ones are just me. They're just fun. It's nice just to kind of ramble, and it gives me an opportunity to feel like I'm part of a gaming community, really, because I don't have a lot of free time. I don't actually get to go out to like a gaming club and stuff very often. So this is kind of like my gaming club, you folks. Matthew says, JG Level Design says, hey there, nice stream. Mind if we see some of your minis? What have I got that I can share with you there? God. These are, the camera's probably too far away now, and because it's got a fixed focus. Long story. I tell you what I'll do. Next live stream, I'll set up a second camera, and I'll share some of the stuff that I've been painting and stuff. I should have the next warbands painted as well, so I'll share some there. But I do have a Facebook group. There's a link in the description of every video that I do. If you want to go across there, I share pretty much everything I do in that Facebook group as well. Matthew saying, I don't like all the live chats, but I do like this one. Thanks, man. And Different Gear TV says, just pays what he can. VJ saying, being self-employed is a grind, but very rewarding. To be honest, I mean, I've always been employed by a company, by a business. And whilst it is very kind of comfortable and stuff, I hate my day job. I absolutely hate it. I've got myself to a point where it is just it's not rewarding anymore. I'm at an age now where I'm 44 in a couple of months' time, and I'm at a point where I'm like, money is not the motivator for me to work. Just being happy and enjoying what I do is the motivator, which is why I would quite happily quit my day job, which pays me a very nice wage, and go down to kind of like a quarter of that, just to cover my bills, and be happy. And basically, that's kind of where I'm kind of heading to now. Really, I'm just going through the grind of doing my day job to get to a point where I can kind of walk away from it and just be really, really happy with what I'm doing. And I'm really fortunate. I've got a wife who supports me in what I'm trying to do, and I'll get there one day, but it just might take a long while. Tony, man, that donation, definitely didn't need to do it, but I really, really do appreciate it. Mark was saying he figured out how to use the super chat. Where is that? Vijay saying 20 years for me, and you got to keep the work, never slack off. That's definitely the case, isn't it? Yeah, Busey, man, you got to keep at it, as Joanna says. Where Mark was saying, I met Andy at UK Games Expo. He did, mate. Nice to meet you too. He says he's a great guy. Wish I could see more videos on the channel, but I appreciate the balancing act. Family, work, hobby. Yeah, I had to go early on this year. My job kind of really became quite quiet, and I had a bit more free time. I wasn't traveling as much and stuff. I got put on like a secondment project for 6 months, which meant that I wasn't doing the traveling that I was doing, and I managed to get enough free time to try kind of doing like 5 videos a week to see if it was something that was sustainable, and to see if it would grow the channel. I saw some growth. I really, really enjoyed doing it, but it just wasn't sustainable time-wise. There was no way I could have kind of kept up that level of stuff. So I basically kind of just gave up a lot of sort of like looking after my wife. Spent all the time looking after my little one, or our little one, I should say. I basically wasn't going out with friends. We didn't do anything on weekends because I was doing videos. I was up early every morning. I was up late every night. It just wasn't sustainable, basically, to try and keep it going long term. But it did give me a glimpse of what it would be like to do that as a full-time kind of endeavour, and I absolutely loved it. I just ran out of time at the end of the day. I wasn't getting enough sleep. I probably wasn't very healthy at the time either, doing all that stuff. VJ saying film. Just the way it's just my accent, buddy. Nothing I can do about that. I'll tell you what, we're way over time now. I've done like an extra 25 minutes I never planned to do. If you guys are happy to keep going, I'm happy to keep going. We'll chat for a bit longer. Tim saying, too bad I'm across the pond. Yeah. Be nice to meet up with some of you folks at some point. Counter Charges saying, have Warcry tournaments started popping up yet? They're just starting to pop up now, mate, really. I mean, my local Games Workshop is starting to do their campaign stuff. There's Element Games in Manchester. is a place that I spend some time with. I work in Manchester sometimes. They're doing like kind of like mini tournaments every other week now. Get a nice little group going there as well. There's a Games Workshop official one at Warhammer World in December. If anybody's going there, I'm going to buy a ticket. I'm going to go there. 15th of December, it's a Sunday. I'm going to be going to the Warhammer World Tournament. So if you are going, let me know. Be good to say hello. Tim is saying would love to play Warcry. Tim, if I ever get the chance to go across to the States to play at an event, I'd be honoured, mate, to have a game. Joanne is saying 44, good age. Peter says 44, I thought you were 43. I am 43. I'm about to be 44. Malev the Shinobi says, how long's the stream been up? I've been going tonight, just coming up to 2 hours, mate. Paul saying, what's up, man? Your birthday tomorrow. Malev, a bit of chat there. I'm guessing you guys all know each other there. Matthew says, yeah, sure, she'll walk right. Yeah, we'll get that up, mate. We'll get it up for next week. Dustin saying, cheers for the show, mate. Have a good evening. Thanks, mate. Enjoy your day as well. BJ says, mentioning the 5 videos was unsustainable, and a while back I remember you were thinking about quitting for a week or so. Is my timeline off, or did the 5 videos do that? No, mate. It was, so basically what I did was, I did the 5 videos a week for about 3 months. And then basically what happened was I went on holiday for a week, but because I was doing 5 videos a week, I didn't have any spare time to get ahead of myself to cover while I was away on holiday. So I kind of had a week off. And when I got back, while I was away on holiday, I was kind of thinking about, has it been worth it? Have I seen the growth? I hadn't been getting sort of, I didn't sort of see 5 times the number of views that I got when I was doing, say, 1 video a week, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of that is to do with the content I was making. It wasn't what people wanted to see, really. I mean, I had a really kind of solid subscriber base and things, and I've always had a really cool community around this. But some of the games are just not. It's not what people search for on YouTube. I don't make 40k content like the big channels do. So my views are always going to be a lot smaller, basically. And so I think there was that. And I was in a bit of a shitty place, if I'm honest, with my day job and stuff. It was kind of mentally, it was kind of like I wasn't in a good place, and that was what got me to a point where I thought I'm just going to quit this. Really, I felt, if I'm kind of getting a bit deep and meaningful now, but I got to a point where I really, really wasn't in a good place with my day job. It was kind of like mentally kind of just draining every last ounce of energy I had. And I wasn't depressed. I mean, I'm not going to kind of like sort of like trivialize it. I wasn't depressed, but I was in a bad place. And the YouTube stuff brings me so much enjoyment and so much I get such a high from doing it, that it was kind of messing with me, really. That I was kind of having these really low lows with my day job and really high highs from making videos. And I was kind of getting these like horrible kind of mood swings really through it. And because I can't just quit my day job and keep doing YouTube stuff, I considered quitting the YouTube stuff so that I basically wasn't getting pulled in 2 different directions, really. So that was when I got to a point where I was thinking of quitting. However, kind of sat down with my wife and we chatted about it, and she said, "Look, just back off it a little bit. Just do what you enjoy. Don't try and don't try and overdo it, really." And that was kind of where I got to. That was where I got to, mate. So that's why now I literally do as much as I can with the time I've got. But I make a point of making sure I've got time to spend some time with my family as well. My day job's still awful and I still hate it, but I'm not kind of being pulled in those kind of opposite directions as much as I used to be, mate. So yeah, that was how it was, mate. Tim saying he'll have a guest room. Countercharge says, plan to come to Adepticon. I'd love to, mate. The problem with coming to Adepticon, especially when I've never been before, is I don't know about like getting a hotel and stuff, about how far away it is from places and stuff, and I don't know about how much to pay. I don't know whereabouts it is. I'd have to do a lot of digging, and I'd be traveling on my own, I think, as well. So it's kind of like not like I'll be hanging out with some like I wouldn't be traveling with a friend kind of thing. So I would love to come. It's kind of like a bucket list thing to do. There's a few ones I'd love to go to. I'd love to go to Adepticon. I'd love to go to the Las Vegas Open just because I love Las Vegas, and I'd love to go to Nova at some point as well. Those are the kind of the three I think I'd like to get to. Where we are, Caesar was saying I was hoping for some chaos demons and little monsters like the thralls. I think we'll see some coming soon. Tony says, good to see I'm not on my own and struggling to meet up with people due to family commitments. I'm aiming to go to my friendly local gaming store for the first time. Whereabouts are you based, Tony? Paul says it's Peamsy, you know what time you're in the place. Matt's in there, it's hard. Work with kids and wife and church. Getting time to play is awesome. VG saying, all good, mate. Appreciate your openness and honesty. Yeah, I think it's only fair, basically. If I ask you for support sometimes, I have to share. I have to be myself. I have to tell you where I am. BJ says your wife sounds like a smart lady. She's awesome, mate. I'll be honest. I wouldn't be doing this YouTube stuff now. I wouldn't still be doing it nearly 3 years on if it wasn't for her and all of the support. She's the reason I kind of have free time to be able to do this kind of stuff. Really, it's she kind of goes above and beyond, and she has a really busy job as well. So, Malev says you be among friends. Thanks, mate. I'm trying to read back, buddy, what we're seeing there. Thank you. Marco says I'd be happy to join you for an overseas trip whenever you feel like it. I might take you up on that one, Marco. And Joanna saying very kind words. And yeah, happy birthday, Malev, for tomorrow. And you're near Bridlington. That's not too far away. Bridlington's not too bad. And Paul is saying hope so. Right, folks, it is 11 o'clock. I've been rambling for 2 hours now. My throat's drying out. I don't tend to do a 2-hour live stream, but there are still 84 of you watching, so I kind of kept it going. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that's been in the chat tonight. Thank you to everybody that's donated as well. I honestly can't say how much I appreciate it. It really, really does help, and it kind of it's kind of hard to say. It kind of gives you a bit of a boost because it tells me that you kind of enjoy the stuff that I'm doing. So that's, whilst financially it's nice that it helps me get to where I want to be. It's more the kind of the pat on the back that tells me I'm heading in the right direction at times. So good night to everybody, good morning to everybody, all that kind of stuff. Thank you very much for your time tonight. It's been really awesome to hang out. I'll be back again next Monday with another live stream, and I should, if things go to plan, have a video up on Wednesday of this week, if things go to plan. But I've got the idea, I've got the script written, I just need to find some time to film it. So, thanks again, and I will see you all, to chat to you obviously, in the next video. Thanks for watching.